The first two components, we have already accomplished this with our central database program. It is, again, an Earth-wide autonomic sensor system with environmental sensors in all relevant areas of the planet, monitoring and generating industrial electronic feedback regarding resources and production distribution operations. I know it sounds massive and science fiction oriented, but it can be done. It's done every day in detached ways. It's just not applied on a larger scale. So then, with the first two issues covered, we're then left with the issue of research, contributions, and decisions. When we finally understand that everything in regard to social operation is a technical process, we then see that there is little reason for political subjectivity in the solving of any problem. For our technical insight can now arrive at most conclusions using the scientific method. It is based, of course, on information. If a person reads one page of a book and closes it, he or she can easily have an opinion on that book as a whole. If another person reads the whole book, they also have an opinion. Whose opinion would you value more? The person who read the full book or the person who read only one page? In other words, the more data taken into account in the process of decision making, the more accurate that decision will be. As we have previously explored, computers now can access trillions of bits of information per second across vast informational databases. Because of the limitations of our sensory and cortical equipment in our body and mind, no person or group can know everything there is to know in this world. Our senses are limited in range. Our eyes can only see a fraction of the electromagnetic field. Therefore, again, it is only logical to begin delegation of decision-making processes, specific technical processes, to computers for evaluation and efficient outcomes. They do not have the restrictions that we have. These are tools that we have created. Again, we have already shown that this is possible with resource management, production, and distribution. So now we're going to explore what we can call information processes. This is a rather complex point and falls in the realm of what could be called artificial intelligence, or machines programmed to run processes that kind of mimic the procedural processes of human thought. Artificial intelligence is, of course, subject to some tremendously silly assumptions today. The most, of course, common being portrayed in movies where the intelligent machines invariably decide, to take over humanity or some other biased notion of contempt.
The suicidal reign of mankind has finally come to its end.
You have been deemed hazardous. Will you comply?
You can kiss my ass, metal dick.
In fact, I would say that science fiction seems to get off exclusively on showing the world being overcome by machines and the human beings enslaved. In the words of Arthur C. Clarke, the popular idea, fostered by comic strips and the cheaper forms of science fiction, that intelligent machines must be malevolent entities hostile to man, is so absurd that it is hardly worth wasting energy to refute it. I am almost tempted to argue that only unintelligent machines can be malevolent. Those who picture machines as active enemies are merely projecting their own aggressiveness. The higher the intelligence, the greater the degree of cooperativeness. If there was ever a war between men and machines, it's easy to guess who will start it. The interest is to create an active informational database containing literally all known technical knowledge, ranging from the properties, combinations, and applications of every element of the periodic table, to even the complete history of technological invention. A system of associations, of course, needs to be created and codified to enable such a thing, but there are plenty of projects that are working on this right now. Thought is indeed a technical process, and once the associations emerge that can combine multiple disciplines, we will have at our grasp an amazing database program that we can interact with and gain feedback from. It could likely come in the form of a simple website. You would pose a problem or question to the database, and it would give the best possible feedback based on the current state of knowledge at that point in time. No different than interfacing with a calculator, but this new calculator has a powerful associative system and an extensive database of knowledge that can not only understand and compute math, it can integrate physics, biology, and other aspects into a unified, concentrated awareness. Say I had an idea for aeronautics. I would enter in my schematics in language codified that the machine would understand. The machine would say, whoop, you know what, this has already been done. We don't have the materials for this, as it checks the central database. The efficiency of this is not applicable because of the wind resistance of this coefficient, etc. You get the point. And if this sounds like science fiction, rest assured that the US military's Pentagon likely already has similar database reference and decision-making programs which it uses to create war strategies. It is important to point out that in the world today, we consider participation in government a task of electing various personalities to a position of power. This is now obsolete. In a resource-based global economy where industry and government are combined into a cybernetic system that incorporates advanced problem-solving computer databases with vast planetary-wide observation sensors, again, it's very simple, the traditional concept of politics, election, and the like has no basis or relevance. And while this notion scares a lot of traditionally minded people, it must be reiterated that our problems in life are technical and are relative only to humanity as a whole. We don't want to elect people, we want to elect ideas. This would be a true democracy, where technology enables each person to contribute in an organized way. Of course, such participation in any society would entail understanding how society technically worked, and then constructively proposing ideas or innovations to be implemented, created, or altered. As of now, this is long lost. Very few people have any idea how anything operates. These things are just going on around them. They have no idea what's going on. People can't contribute to anything unless they understand what comprises what they want to contribute to. This is something governments have known for a long time, which is why you tend to find that there's a lot of dumbing down going on in the world. So, as far as interaction, first one would interact with the informational database, which is available to everyone and could input their proposal. Then the database, with its historical knowledge databases and data integration, would analyze the concept for its scientific and technical integrity, along with optimizing the materials required, if applicable, based on current understandings and availabilities. Again, it's unified. If the proposal is initially accepted by the central database after cross-checking it to make sure the integrity is intact, then it would either be immediately put into production, as would be the case with the desired invention, or it would be turned over to a group of rotating interdisciplinary teams that oversee the implementation of the new proposal and orient it into the social system. These are simply technicians who maintain the system, no different than how people maintain anything today. The person or group who submitted the proposal in question would then be invited to participate and become a part of the interdisciplinary team relevant to the idea if they choose to. These interdisciplinary teams of technicians oversee the system and also help orient research projects to continue growth, efficiency, and social evolution. They would do research in scientific fields relevant to the functionality of society. In an optimized version of this system, I think it's safe to predict that no more than 5% of the world's population would be needed to run the show. The more optimized and powerful our technological capabilities and methods become, the more that number decreases. And you know, I think it's important to mention, a lot of people, they read too much science fiction, they take books like Brave New World in 1984 a little bit too seriously, and they see something like this as a power consolidation in some amazing way. But you have to understand that we're removing the mechanism. Look, we have to remember that we entrust our lives to science and technology every single day, and to the people that work with this technology. When you have a problem with your car, you don't take a vote from your neighbors as the solution. You go to somebody that works in that particular field, who knows what they're doing, education. This is the type of orientation we need to begin to have. The fear of traditional corruption has very little basis, for there's no reward for it. The interdisciplinary teams do not get paid in any way. Their reward is, in fact, the fruits of the society as a whole, and they contribute because it is in their best interest to do so, just as everyone can contribute. Self-interest becomes integrated with social interest. They become one. In order to help yourself, you must help society explicitly. Everything is for the greater good. Frankly, I believe our survival as a species is absolutely contingent upon this worldview. Moreover, these teams would not be fixed, but constantly revolving based on who wants to participate, who contributes in any given field. Abstractly speaking, this would actually be a true democracy, wouldn't it? Arbitrary voting for politicians is now replaced by the logical review of given concepts based on social merit, with the creators brought in to help. Not, I'm going to reduce taxes, and here comes change, and you know, and all this nonsensical stuff we deal with today. In a resource-based economy, as I've said, participation is open to everyone. Because again, all issues are fundamentally recognized as technical, and I'm going to keep drilling this in. The degree to which a person contributes is based on that person's education and ability to create and problem solve. This is why expanded education is critical. In society today, you will find that the public is essentially kept distracted and uninformed. I hate to say it, but this is the way governments maintain control. If you review history, you will find that power is maintained by ignorance. In a resource-based economy, the goal of the educational system is to produce the most intelligent, aware human beings as possible. Why? Because everyone then becomes a contributor, greatly affecting our collective social evolution for the better and improving the lives of all. Intelligence will no longer be a threat to the establishment, for there is no power establishment. There would be no budget restrictions or unethical agendas to deter progress. Also, people will have a high propensity to become generalists, not specialists. Specialization is a limitation. The monetary system promotes specialization as a form of labor distribution for income. It's kind of built in, and it's a colossal hindrance. I believe Buckminster Fuller put it quite